I will hit record. Now that we've used up all of our funny for the night, I'll hit record
Oh yeah.
so we can get all of this glorious nothing that's going to happen for the next minute.
Right.
I like purple. You know what I don't appreciate? That in video games, purple is just the color of evil.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Or maybe I like that a little too much. No, because everyone's always trying to get rid of the purple.
That is very true. They're like, "Oh, you see that purple over there? Yeah, it's got to go."
Oh, and the Hulk's pants, Jay Spencer says. Well, yeah, and the Hulk's pants are evil because they're keeping us from beholding the glorious big green. Anyway, what was I saying?
That's a
America's
good
other
question.
ass.
Do what?
I said America's other ass.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I was talking about. Totally. What? All right, that's been a minute. Here we go. Oh, jam. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. We are coming to you live this week from under my sink. Don't ask. All right, enough of that.
They want to ask now. Yeah.
I was giving them a minute to ask out loud, but I'm not going to answer, so they're just wasting their breath.
Sharp.
So I am Chewy, and I hate it here. Not like here on the show. Here. So I have these other dorks here. I also hate that for
Hey,
them.
I'm Brian. Yeah, I'm Brian. I'm the lead rambler, tangent master of the group. I am determined to make the most of here. So I'm sticking around. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not giving up the ground. So I'm here and I'm entrenching myself. Haha.
I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy. And, here, there, and everywhere are just so close together and similar already that it's fine. Whatever.
And I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group, and I'm going to elevate myself from here. So that way I may ascend to a higher plane where hopefully all the evils of the world are no longer with us.
That sounds sort of concerning there, Dirk.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean like,
Okay, good.
hopefully we'll go, find a space station where all the smart people are going to be and all the people who actually can make good decisions.
You're saying you're not gonna just get high.
No.
You want to
Okay.
get high?
I got too many things on my list of stuff to do that.
Although, according to a YouTube video I just watched, at your age, it's perfectly fine to start getting high. Because it's probably not going to do any damage. Probably.
Oh, did you watch the Kyrgyzstan in a nutshell?
However you say
They
that,
did-
yeah.
Yeah, but they did say it's not problem free. They just said if you're gonna try it early and then give it up. They were not like, yeah, weed's awesome.
That is the opposite of what he said, but okay. They said don't do a lot of weed early. Said wait a while.
We have to rewatch the video. Anyway.
Clearly. Brian's like, get high when you're a kid and then quit. And the video itself is like, evidence shows that getting high when you're a kid is the highest chances of doing bad things to your brain. Brian's like, smoke 'em up, Sam.
That's not
And you guys thought my comment was concerning.
Right?
I feel like I'm being. Let's just keep moving.
Yes. On the advice of my lawyer, I will now blaze it.
I'm never gonna say anything ever again.
Doubt.
You know that's a lie.
Okay, then. So, this is episode 710 of the show, the Manapool Podcast. Hello. Hello, that's us. How you doing? Pleased to meet you.
Hey,
Yo.
710. Good lord. Next episode, we'll have to, like, do a big gulp or a... What is the thing that 7-Elevens have, damn it?
I think it's some kind of
Slurpees?
some kind of liquid.
Slushies?
Slurpees?
Is it Slurpees at 7-Eleven?
New
I don't
Jersey.
remember. I try not to pay attention.
What is it in The Simpsons? A squishy?
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
It's a squishy in the Simpsons. Yes.
Oh, okay. Chat says Slurpee is 7-Eleven. Yes. Okay, there we go. So next episode, Slurpees. Maybe. You know, if we do a show next week, you know what that'll be?
Thanksgiving.
No, that
The
we
week
just
before
talked about this,
Thanksgiving.
Dirk. Thanksgiving is the week after that.
Oh,
Next week is my birthday.
it is.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
I think I knew that.
If we do a show next week, which jury's out, we'll be recording on my birthday.
Yeah, I won't be available.
Oh. Well, screw you,
He'll
Mike.
be off. Hey, he's taking the day off to celebrate your birthday. Come on, man.
A better birthday present would be doing the show.
Oh,
Anyway, never mind then. So,
this is an awesome conversation.
I know, right? I just wanted to get it out there that my birthday's coming soon, and I do accept cash gifts. Now, what was I? What were we talking about? Right. So it's been a hot minute since we did a show due to various reasons. Damn you, Halloween! And recent events here in America.
Mm.
But we're back now. And we figured we should hit some of the news that's happened in Magic. Because while I'm desperately trying to get away from the show being about Magic, apparently we just can't escape it entirely. So, as you may or may not know, you probably do by now because it's already out, there's a new set out called Magic the Gathering Foundations. Which is, I mean, it's a core set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing
That's,
that we started with, and then did away with, and then they brought it back, and then they're like, no, we're done with that. And then they brought it back, and then they're like, no, we're done with that. I think that's the
But
complete
now
cycle.
they brought it back.
Yeah, now they've brought it back. But oh yeah, we talked about this off of the air. What is it Mike said? This is closer to the original idea for Magic?
I think it's closer to the original. I think it's closer to the idea that the original designers had in their heads of what a core set would be.
Yeah.
Which is
Just with the way it is and how it's meant to be used.
Yeah, clarify, please.
Yeah. So, collectible card games didn't exist in the way that we understand them now when Magic was invented, but they would have been really familiar with with board games and in the box card games and other things like that. So, and among those, there's tons of examples of a base game that you just go buy from the store and you play that and it's great. And then there might be other expansions, supplements, add-ons that you can go get to add more features to it and play around in the design space. So you have a base game like Settlers of Catan, and you might go out later and get Seafarers to play and add to it. You have your core rule books for Dungeons and Dragons, with all the features that are in the basic Dungeon Master Guide and the player handbook and the basic monster manual. But there are a bunch of other source books you can go get to add stuff to your games. You might pick up something like Cards Against Humanity or Flux, and that's fun. But then there are other little packs of extra things that you can throw in the mix to mess around with. So with Foundations, skipping ahead a bit, meant to be around and in print for a long time, it's kind of more like that. It's kind of more like base Settlers or base D&D, where it's just sitting there. That's the base game, and the expansion sets are, adding some extra things, going in and out of the format, playing around in the design space. That was something like that was part of the original idea. You can get hints of that if you know more stories about the early development of Magic and the first few expansions, where they had in mind, okay, we have this game. If we want to make expansions, let's have in mind that, some people might not want to play with those, and that'll be okay. They were even planning to, in the beginning, maybe print Arabian Nights with a different back than the base Magic game, so that it would be easier to distinguish the cards from each other, so that you could separate them more easily. They decided not to do that for various reasons. Yeah. Now, the way the pace at which the first few core sets came out in early Magic was kind of driven by demand. Alpha, beta are basically the same set. Beta is just alpha with a bunch of the typos fixed. And beta had to be released really soon just to meet demand. And similarly for Unlimited. Unlimited, they had to run out there really quick to meet the demand of this game that had become incredibly popular for the people who knew about it and told all their friends about it. Revised also came around in short order, and they actually did make their first changes to the core set there, taking some things out, adding some things in, touching up some holes in the rules that had become obvious. So that's like 1993, 1994, and even then it was like just 1995 when 4th edition came out, cleaning up more stuff, making some more changes, and then they backed off a bit. Then it was every other year cadence for a long time, up until the transition between 10th edition and Magic 2010. And for a while, they started to do it every year to keep it a little more fresh, because they knew that the core set had the reputation for being a little, basic and maybe even boring. Even though it was an important part of the standard rotation, they just wanted to try to freshen it up a bit and experiment with it. They did core sets every year for a little while. They took a break after M15 and Magic Origins, saying, okay, no, this core sets still aren't doing as well as we would like. People still aren't that excited about them. Let's just see what we can do with just expansion sets. After a few years, they saw, okay, it's kind of awkward to make sure we have the important staple cards and those stable pieces of the game in the expansions all the time. It takes up space that we'd rather use for something else. Let's bring core sets back. So I think it was M19. That was the first one of those. They said, no, never mind, try again a couple years after that. And now we're back to, okay, we really do need a core set. Let's take a completely different approach. Here we are with Foundations, which is, starting from now, will be in print and legal for 5 years.
Yeah, speaking of not
So-
wanting to stagnate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just if we want to talk about that now, we can. But the expansions are there to rotate in and out of standard to keep that format interesting.
Yep.
But you always have this base game to go to and play and be the context and the baseline for everything to play off of.
In the analogy that you drew earlier, this is like the base set of Catan. This is the base game.
Yes.
For now.
Yeah, this concept. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just quite like they threw in doubling season. Which, I mean, that's good because doubling season's price had gotten just stupid thanks to Commander. But now that means doubling season is a thing that's legal and standard for at least 5 years. Like its existence means they're going to have to think real hard about everything they print because, doubling season, damn it. Like,
yeah. We are not going to go knee deep into this set or even like ankle deep. But there are some cards in this set that by definition are now going to be in standard for the next several years. That makes me go, interesting choice. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Doubling
and we're not
season
talking
is
about
one.
things on the level of like Giant Spider. We're talking about some pretty interesting and weird things too.
Yes. So.
yeah. So I figured we would. Well, one, I'll get wrapped up in a cord. I'm not even using anything that has cords. There we go. I figured we would take a look at the mechanics, including one very big, well, not very big, but one, rules change shakeup. And then discuss some of the other stuff that's going on. And then jump to our second topic, which is about what gamers do that piss us off.
Yes.
So, not like the capital G gamers with the racism and the misogyny. No. Not, well, I mean that, but that pisses us off in all contexts.
Yeah.
But first, the news. All right, Magic Foundations mechanics. We've got Flashback. Look at that. Flashback is back. Wow.
Flashing it back.
Yeah, even they use Think Twice as the example here. I love Think Twice.
Which, it's so clean. Honestly, Flashback just makes so much sense that I'm okay with it being in standard for some time. I think it makes a lot of sense.
There have been a couple one-off Flashback cards in recent expansions as well.
It's one of those mechanics that they realize doesn't have to be limited to certain sets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And certain themes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, Think Twice is, hey, I just beat Proud Mode on Kingdom Hearts earlier, and Think Twice is very simple and clean.
I see what you did there, and it is.
Just
it works on
very
both
short...
Low clap.
Thank you. Just a very short detour real quick. I was right at the end. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I can beat the game right now. And I've got time before I've got to go to work. So I'm going to do it. And I did. I didn't take into account that you can't skip the credits.
Nope.
So that final cutscene was simple and clean, and the credits and everything, both of the stingers at the end. Nope, can't skip none of that. Even though I just beat it on stream just like a few weeks ago, I got to sit through it all again. So I used that time to get up and go get ready to go to work because
Yeah.
I literally just watched this. But yeah, that was frustrating. But hey, I got the beat it on proud mode achievement. Haha. All that's left is the beat it in under 15 hours without continuing and without changing equipment. Those 3 achievements, which I'm going to try to do at once. I'm thinking I might just live stream it during one massive all-day live stream. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that. But anyway, because apparently you
That
can
could
beat
be
it in like
interesting,
7-8 hours without any sort of stress. And the achievements for
Just have to
15.
skip
So
the Coliseum world.
yeah, you can skip the
And
Coliseum
Atlantica.
entirely. You can skip Atlantica entirely. You can skip Winnie the Pooh entirely.
Hmm
You can skip. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah,
I think that's
You just
everything.
have to put it on the easy
I think
mode.
that's everything. Yeah, there's
I'm
certain
absolutely
worlds
putting it on
in.
easy.
There's certain worlds in 2 that you can skip as well. So,
2 of which
yeah,
I think are the
yeah.
same. But anyway, back to Magic. Yeah, so Flashback is back. Yay.
Yay.
Scroll. Threshold is back. Clearly, I hadn't looked at this. I didn't realize that they put Threshold in the core set. Interesting.
But no tombstone this time.
Like
No.
the
You have
pile
to get your
driver?
pizza
Oh, on the
from
card.
elsewhere. Yeah.
Was that on cards with Threshold or just with cards that had something that they did in the graveyard?
I think, well, by definition, both, because Threshold was.
No,
Well,
Threshold. No.
ooh. Yeah, you'd have to. Wow, that would be fighting against itself, wouldn't it? A card with Threshold that also got better. Yeah, okay, anyway, you're right. I'm sorry, I'm taking us down the wrong path. As usual, you should know now. Pay attention, or don't, to the man behind the thing. Just keep going.
Okay, anyway. So yeah.
Anyway,
Threshold is
no
back.
tombstone.
That's the thing. If you have 7 or more cards in the graveyard, then something.
Yep. A thing happens.
Yeah. I don't really appreciate how this zombie doesn't really look like a zombie. It just looks like a dude.
Yeah, it just kind of looks like a creepy thing.
And he's got glowing purple eyes because purple is evil. And us purple aficionados, while most of us are in fact evil, do not appreciate that.
Purple is Carrie's favorite color, which
Yeah, that's what I
maybe
said.
it's
Us purple
trying to tell me
aficionados, while most
something.
of us are
Yeah.
evil, don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Carrie was included in that. And prowess, which is just a good ability.
Yeah,
Like
it's fun.
prowess, when it was first introduced, I'm like, that's good. And it's been in so many just sets here and there as not a set mechanic. It's just like, first strike or haste. Like it's a thing that just should be in the game, and it is now.
Yeah. It is.
And
Yep.
has been for a while, but now it's in a core set, so And then raid. What the hell is raid?
Raid is
Yeah,
if you attacked this
that was
turn.
the original. Was it the original Mardu mechanic, or was it the alternate timeline Mardu mechanic? I don't remember.
I think it
can't
was the original Mardu mechanic.
Yes, you're right. Dash was
Well,
the
thank-
alternate timeline mechanic. That's right.
Oh, that's what I do.
It's true.
Yeah, raid is something that just something special happens if you've attacked this turn.
Yeah, which I never did understand why that was specifically a Mardu thing that we just never went back to, because again, it seems fairly basic, and like it says here, one question newer players often ask is, when should I attack? And having creatures that have, or things that have, hey, if you attack this turn, blah blah blah, then that helps with that.
It might have shown back up again in the Pirates, in the Ixalan sets, but I don't
Jay
remember
Spencer
for
already
certain.
said that.
Oh, okay. I don't have. Oops, I need to get in the chat.
Oh my god. So, yeah. It has come back. I just forgot.
For some reason, it's just not one that sticks with you, I guess.
Well, that and Ixalan was one of the first sets, I think, that I just didn't play at all. Wasn't it? Did I play Ixalan? I can't remember. I did.
Only you can answer that question, man.
I'm pretty sure I went to the Ixalan pre-release, although I could be wrong.
Yeah, that was long enough ago that you would have still been doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. When Brian and I were talking recently, and he was like, "What was the first set that you just didn't go to a pre-release at all and didn't want to?" I was like, He's like, "What's the one with COVID?" And I was like, and neither of us could remember Ikoria. Brian had to look it up.
Yeah. I said Ixalan and these darn, planes that start with I.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think Ikoria was the first one I missed too.
I mean, it wasn't the first one I missed, but it was the first one that everybody missed.
Oh well, yeah.
I got
the first one in a long series that I missed.
I got the packs and took them home for Sam and I to do them at home. And we did that for a while.
Yeah. But all right. Why are planeswalkers listed in the mechanics? Okay, planeswalkers are in here. All right. Thanks, mechanics article. Oh, hey, we just got a resub from Mike for 56 months. Holy crap. 54 in a row. And he says F in the chat for Ikoria. Aw. Rip in pieces, Ikoria.
That was the one that had the monsters too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. Like
Dirk
Godzilla.
remembers. Just like Pepperidge Farm. Yeah.
Oh, it just explains how planeswalkers work. All right. That's cool. All right, here's the rules change, which is the removal of damage assignment order, which, I'm not going to lie, is a thing I always forgot was even a thing. So I'm going to let some of you rulesy people explain what this means.
All right. Not current as of right this moment anymore, but the rules as they were for a while is that if your attacking creature gets blocked by multiple creatures, and this is also the case going in the other direction, but that's really rare since those abilities on creatures are rare. Anyway, so before you actually deal damage, you have to order the blockers, saying, okay, my attacker is going to deal damage to this one first and that one second, and if there's more than two, you just keep going on down the line. And that means when you actually get to the damage assignment step, you have to assign at least lethal damage to the first one before you start assigning damage to the second one, and so on down the line. And this is so that you kind of get into a position where the attacker is going ahead and laying out what they want to do, and the defender has an idea of what's going to happen so they can make their responses. This was after getting away damage on the stack, this was to give a little more advantage to the defending player and to require the attacking player to be a little more strategic about some of the things they did, because before that the answer was always put damage on the stack, make a response with a trick. That's just what that's just what you did. That was just always the correct answer. And if you didn't do that, that means you didn't understand it, or you were just making a mistake. But so taking that away and replacing it with the damage assignment order process gave a little more advantage back to the defending player and gave more strategic decisions to the attacking player for what they really wanted to do with the resources and figuring out the best way to use them. So
Yeah, there
we
was
have
no
right now,
longer
they're just getting.
always an optimal decision that you
Yeah.
should have made. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
you had to make a choice. You had to figure it out.
and a lot of people hated that there wasn't an optimal decision that they should have made every time. Now they were gonna have to like think about it. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people a lot of people were getting confused with the idea of they were getting confused thinking that knowing a trick was the same thing as being a better player. Not always the
Yeah.
case.
I agree. And that's the thing is like so many people at the time were like, oh, they're dumbing down Magic when it was
I was
really
too
like,
for a hot minute. Yeah.
yeah. But it really was more like, no, it's kind of the opposite of like, it's not just always now the right thing to do. So,
So,
yeah,
anyway,
the old. My favorite example was always the blocking a 2 or using a Mog Fanatic to kill a 2/2.
oh yeah,
Like no matter which way the combat is going, you block or be blocked by the 2/2. You put damage on the stack. You sacrifice it to ping it. It's dead. Yeah. Well, now you can't do
Yeah.
that anymore. The magic's gotten dumber. It's like no. Now you have to decide if you want to block the 2/2, if you want to deal that damage anywhere else. Like now there's actual decisions to be made as opposed to block, damage on the stack, sack it, aim at that. All right, they trade.
mhm.
And a lot of the more spiky players just could not see the benefit of that.
Mhm.
That's happened since we've been doing the show, right? Like you
Yes.
could go listen
Oh,
to our
yeah.
episode on that.
yeah. It's
Oh, yeah.
I think it was part of the Magic 2010 rules change.
God, we're old.
I think so, yeah.
By the way, the show turned 17 a few days ago.
Wow.
Dag nabbit, the show couldn't vote. If the show could have voted, who knows?
Right? I won't tell you Renee's response when I said the show was 17. She said, "Oh, you can almost scrump it."
It's almost legal.
And then she went,
Wouldn't that be
"In Texas, you could scrump it because she's from Texas." And I was like, "That's where your brain went first?" She shrugged and was like, "Yeah." And that's why I love her. Anyway, keep going.
There
Sorry.
actually is a little bit to be said about that, but we'll move on.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Keep
So-
going, Mike.
Okay. So now they're just taking away the extra step of establishing the damage assignment order. So now it pulls the advantage back a little bit, a little less from the defending player, a little more back towards the attacking player, because now there's just more mystery about what's going to happen. You don't go through that extra step of saying, okay, before damage is actually dealt, I'm going to tell you that this one's going to get it first, that one's going to get it second. Now, you just assign and deal combat damage during the combat. I think I just accidentally muted myself for several beats.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
You were just starting to talk about how to deal damage.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So now, combat damage is just assigned and dealt during the combat damage step like it is now. You just don't go through that extra step beforehand of telegraphing, hey, it's going to go here first and there second. So there's a little more mystery about exactly what's going
happen, and it puts more of a burden on the defensive player to make some strategic decisions about what they want to do before damage is actually assigned and dealt. This is kind of a pullback to pre-damage on the stack rules, except you don't have the damage prevention window anymore, so that does make a little bit of a difference. You still have to set that stuff up beforehand. But yeah, so taking out an extra step that most of the time isn't even really necessary, because creatures usually block 1 for 1 versus gang blocking. Yeah, it comes up fairly often, but not a super high proportion of the time. And forcing each player to make some different and more strategic decisions about how they're going to play, how they're going to use their resources, and what they want out of their creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if I'm attacking with a 5/5 and Brian blocks with a 3/3 and a 2/2, we can guess what's probably going to happen without anyone saying it. But if Brian blocks with a 3/3 and another 3/3, okay. Now we really don't know. Doing the damage assignment order would telegraph a little bit about what was going to happen next. Doing away with that means now Brian, the defending player, has to think a little more if he has a trick and values one of those 3/3s more than the other one.
Thinking more, my final nemesis. darn you, Mike. But yeah, I gotta say, I don't. Go ahead.
So it's not like it kind of sounds like it's somewhere in between the old rules and the most recent rules before this change, where based on the example they're giving.
Yeah.
So you can't do the old rules was I declare blockers, I deal damage, and then you can do a combat trick before to see who died and everything. Because I very much remember the days of, all right, these are the blockers, I'm going to deal damage to this, and then you could do things like a giant growth.
So you can
or an unsummon or something after damage.
After damage was done, in order to save the creature.
Mm-hmm.
That was gone, because that added a level of complexity that just blew my mind for a long time.
You can still use combat tricks,
but you
with
can't.
The new rules.
But you have to do the way these rules are saying. If you're going to do a combat trick, you have to do it before the damage is actually being dealt.
Yeah. So in damage on the stack days, everyone already knew knew exactly where the damage was going, and it was actually happening. The damage was happening, and people could still make responses. In the switch to damage assignment order, you still had an idea, and you could make some informed decisions about that. And now this new rules change, you have the least amount of information about exactly how damage is going to go down, and that gives you a new set of decisions that you need to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do remember in recent, like playing recently prior to this rules change, there was a game I was playing online where I was attacked. I blocked with a couple creatures. I waited for the opponent to put in the order where under the rules, the damage assignment order, and he put up the one obviously that he wanted to kill the most, he put up first. And once he'd finished the assignment, I then made the first one indestructible with a combat trick. And what that did was, not only did it mean I got to keep the one that I wanted, but because he still had to assign lethal damage to it, so say it had 5 toughness, he still had to assign 5 damage to it that then did not get to go to the next creature or the third creature. Now I can he can attack, I can
Mhm.
block, but then if he passes, I can still cast the spell to make my guy indestructible. That's fine. It's still going to survive, but he can be like, all right, I'm going to. Then, once all the combat tricks are done and I've passed priority, when damage is assigned at that moment, the attacker says, all right, 2 to that one, 3 to that one. And there's no requirement that he put any on that one creature at all. Right, Mike?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
And we got a really good example in the chat a few minutes ago. So
okay.
Roland Whitetree saying, the only way I can see it ever really coming into play is if you have stuff with menace or a really big creature, and they block with enough 2/2s to kill it, and they assign 1 damage to each of them, and then use a deal 1 damage to each creature effect to clear the board. That's something that you could do in old Magic, because you got to assign damage to the blockers however you pleased. There wasn't any requirement to do lethal here first and then next and then the other one. So
Right.
yeah, so that opens up plays that haven't been available for
A while.
almost 20 years.
Yeah. Now, because he mentioned that, because they
Sorry.
mentioned
Yeah, almost 20
be,
years. Gosh.
be,
Goodness gracious.
because they mentioned menace, I do want to say real quick, because you see this a lot online, like a lot. If a creature with menace attacks and it's blocked by 2 creatures, and then a combat trick then takes out one of those creatures, it's still blocked. So
Yeah, still. That was always
yeah.
the case.
I know, and everybody here probably knows how that works, but I've seen that question come up enough that I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
hold real quick. I know that's not what we're talking about here, but yeah.
It matters if the attacker has trample, because then they can just roll over the empty space.
Oh, sure. Trample makes a lot of these situations very different. And you still have the situation with how trample and death touch interact, right? So,
Yeah, I haven't seen anything to the contrary.
Well, that does beg the question. So, can't trample to work? Does that still have to deal lethal damage to everything before it goes?
It probably does, and I can't remember how it worked in the old rules. There might have been a loophole there, but if I had to guess, I would say that they would have to keep the most recent rules where you still have to
Kill everything before it rolls over.
yeah, kill everything before
if
trample rolls over.
if they didn't, then every creature with trample would be a thorn elemental.
That's exactly what
So,
I was thinking. Everyone becomes a thorn elemental if they have trample.
Or if you want to block that 6/6 with trample, you better not use a 5/5 and a 1/1, or else you're going to be really unhappy.
yeah. Something else that White Tree just mentioned in the chat was talking about how one thing I saw come up as this was coming into play was, oh, now Death Touch works against multiple blockers, which, as they point out, it always did. I do think, yes, I think it's good we're talking about this, but I will guarantee you 99% of combat works now exactly like it did a month ago.
Yeah.
Just because this is really just kind of getting to combat tricks and some corner cases.
Mm-hmm. The change has already been implemented in Arena. I was playing a few games last night, and I was like, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
The defending player has to do any tricks after they say multiple blockers. And then the attacker gets to say, okay, since you did all that, I get to decide where all the damage goes. And that's essentially how combat happens now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At combat damage assignment, then they go ahead and say how they're dividing it up.
Yes.
So they can't the defender cannot then respond and say, oh, well, since you're assigning blockers like since you're assigning damage like this, I'm gonna pump this. At that point it's too late.
Because I'm getting clarification on this because at school there was a discussion about the new blocking rules and and the way the kids were talking about it, it sounded like the defender was getting to decide where the damage went
No.
No,
in multiple
that's
blockers.
the old rule.
And that's why I'm like, okay, I need to hear about what these
I
new
mean,
rules are.
that was never a rule. Like, that's what the banding ability did.
I was
That
gonna
was
say
never
that was
part of the
banding,
base
yeah.
rules. Mhm.
Oh, taking it
Okay.
back old school.
Yeah,
Dirk,
the
you better
defender,
get
Old,
this
old
defender
right.
never gets to, the defender never got to make that decision in the base rules.
Dirk, you better get this right, or I'm calling the Board of Education and telling them that you're giving wrong information to your students.
Oh no! They were talking about this, and that's why I when they were like when they were talking about it and everything, I didn't say a thing because in my head I'm going, we're gonna talk about this. This is a big deal. I'm gonna wait until Mike explains this, and at which point I can ask my questions, clarification, before I say something dumb. And then they all are like, "But no, the new rules," and then I'm the one giving out bad information. So now that I know, when they say, I'd be like, "No, read what the rules say.
Hey, Chewy.
Tell me back what they say."
And knowing is half the battle. Yes, Brian.
WWMD. What would Mike do?
I'll say
Is
wait,
basically
That is
what
correct.
wait
is
till
what I'm hearing from Dirk is what would Mike do?
This is bringing it back full circle because like almost 15 years ago, I think next month it will be 15 years ago, I had just finished a job interview for the job that I have now and have had ever since then, and was about just finished that, and I was about to start driving out of town to visit with family for Christmas. And when I was at the gas station, Dirk called me on my cell phone and asked me a magic question. For his
WWMD.
yeah, for his school group.
Mm-hmm.
now.
Taking
Damn
it
it,
back.
that's funny.
Yes. Also, we're old, but yes.
Yep.
So that's what's going on I assume that we're good on that now.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel very confident with this now.
Good. So that's what's going on with the Foundations rules. There's some other stuff here, like the fact that they've decided to make Universes Beyond sets standard legal now. Which, okay, this didn't go out to the public, because of I have a lot of crap going on and my undiagnosed ADHD and all of that. But a while ago, we recorded something. I don't remember. I think it was like it was a stream we did where basically it devolved into us bitching about politics.
Mm-hmm.
It was just chatting, and I was like, I'm not gonna release this as an episode. But
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure it was in that. But in there somewhere.
I thought it was a text conversation.
Oh no, this was something because I've got it as a file somewhere. I was gonna cut this part out of it
I
and
remember
release it
that.
as a separate thing, and just never got around to it. Again, because of my own, undiagnosed ADHD and having way too many other things to do. But I said in that conversation, if they ever decide to make Universes Beyond standard legal, that's the beginning of the end for Magic as its own IP. And if I remember correctly, which I'll go find the file and listen to it, I might even release it at some point later, all of these guys were like, yeah, that sounds about right. And then they made that announcement, and I was like, called it! Magic as its own IP is going to die. They're just going to be releasing, Final Fantasy and Spider-Man and whatever every year. And Mike was like, well, that's not what that means. And I was like, bitch.
Maybe that was the text part.
That was the text part. Why you got to be like that, Mike?
So yeah, but I love the announcement here. Like, Aaron Forsyth goes, all right, we recently announced that in 2025 we're gonna have 3 full Universe Beyond sets along with 3 Magic, Magic sets. And the very first sentence here is, "Yikes! You may be thinking that's too many direct to modern sets." And then he goes, "Well, you would be correct if that's what we were doing. Instead, they're all going to be legal and standard." And I'm like, how does that change anything? Because now that's too many sets direct to modern, and it's too many sets direct to standard. Like, if standard is going to be... I'm just going to rant for a minute. If standard is going to be legal for 3... If sets are going to be legal and standard for 3 years... And now next year alone, they're releasing 6? That's too much.
I hope these sets are small.
I was gonna say
my entire ass, Mike.
It is not. It's not just that. And I don't see them doing this, but it's not just like, oh, you know what, we're releasing these in standard, but they're not going to be legal in modern. If they wanted to do that tack, that would be weird. But they could do that. But you're right. In this paragraph, it says, making them appropriate for all our major constructed formats, so booster sets will be legal in all constructed formats, which, again, the way that reads is just like, oh, this is taking up entirely too much space here, so we're going to put it in standard, but we're also still going to put it here.
Yeah. Now, Jay Spencer just pointed out that direct to modern implies a power level that direct to standard doesn't. And it implies that, but that's not... I don't know if that's a hard and fast rule. But yeah, it did say that we changed how we design Universes Beyond sets. But the other thing here is... under why bring Universes Beyond to all formats, the second bullet point says veteran players should appreciate a reduction in straight to modern sets that have created more churn in that format than typical sets do. But there's still the same amount of churn in as far as number of cards released to the set.
Well, no, only if those cards are strong enough to make a major wave in modern. And that was different. For sets that could go directly to modern and sets that were meant to go directly to modern, they were trying to make cards that would be good in modern. So that's what was causing all the upheaval there. If they were just making cards for standard, you'd have a lot less crossover year to year, because it would be only the best and most impactful stuff that would be able to break into modern and unseat other established things that were already happening there.
So if the power level of the new cards is generally lower, if I'm following your discussion, then there'll be less of those cards actually coming in and changing modern as a format, right?
Yeah, because in
which
order
has
to be
less to do
standard, they have to be less pushed.
Which has less to do with volume and more to do with power level, or I guess you may link them volume of power level cards, sure, but simply having more cards in the format. But that's a question going back to
Now,
Chewy's side. But
Chewy, in your absolute sense, in the absolute sense of the number of cards, yes, it's still bringing way more cards into the format. But in the sense of competitive constructed play, if they're not as powerful, then there will be less movement there.
Okay, so what you're saying is
I'm
the Lord of the Rings set, and I guess it mentions Assassin's Creed. I thought Assassin's Creed was just like a commander thing, or I've literally paid zero attention.
There's so many, yeah.
But so what you're saying is, like, I understand with stuff like the Modern Horizons, all the design mistakes in that were on purpose because they were trying to design for modern.
Yeah.
So with the Universes Beyond, they just, since I doubt they were designing those for modern, did they just not give... I can't say that on the show. Did they just not care? Because, this is Lord of the Rings. Who gives a crap what it does to our tournaments? Huh? That they're going to be...
Well, I think they were just pushing the same way that they were pushing Modern Horizons sets. I don't think there are any more or less mistakes in Lord of the Rings than there are in Modern Horizons. There have been plenty of mistakes in Modern Horizons sets, but if Lord of the Rings went through Standard, Orcish Bowmasters and the One Ring would not look the same as they do right now.
And Orcish Bowmasters is pretty pushed. But I will say to Chewy's point, I'm going to take Chewy's side for a second here. I know we're all discussing it's not necessarily sides, but on the other hand,
Screw you, Mike.
who's to say that they're going to get the power level right? Oko and many other cards I can't even think of at the moment. Basically, here's my situation. I think if you're going to play in Modern, and they've just released a word that I can't say on the show either, a big ton, insert word here, ton of cards into Modern. Well, who's to say that maybe this card doesn't look that great on its own, but it's gonna combo with something else? How much more testing do you need to do? How much more do you have to try to keep up with all this stuff? And honestly, as a player, as a 100% Johnny player at this point, doesn't bother me at all. I want as much variety as possible, but a competitive player wants to know what the cards are in a format. You don't want to go to a tournament and feel like you're playing against cards that you have never seen before, or there's no way you could test for.
Well, if you
So
care, you're going to read about stuff. And if someone makes a big breakthrough, it won't take long for people to start writing about it and publicizing it and sharing deck lists and iterating on it. When you have less obvious breakthrough cards, it takes someone being more creative to find breakthrough cards and make the breakthrough and make the new deck or make a significant improvement to an existing deck with that hidden gem when things are more powered down on average and things are just less obvious and less blatantly good.
I get that, but again, that comes back to how good a job are they going to do about gauging the power level? And I have always been a Wizards fan, and I've had their back when a lot of other people are like, oh, they suck or whatever. But they don't get it right every time, Skull Clamp. So, I guess we'll just have to see how it all
I get
turns.
it, and I know we're so out of touch because we can only come up with examples like Skull Clamp and Oko and Hogak, and can't think of anything that's happened more recently.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it'll
Yeah.
standard is cards that are okay for standard are a different animal altogether. Sets that are okay for standard are a different animal altogether.
So the one upside, what I'm hearing is the one upside of the Universes Beyond stuff going to Standard is that they're going to have to rein themselves in and make, not insanely busted cards.
Yes.
They can't the
I
just come in and take over.
I am actually going. So, for all of my arguments about why I'm concerned about this, it may surprise you that as someone that almost exclusively plays on Arena right now, I'm actually okay with this. And you might go, but Brian, what about Hypocrite? And yeah, maybe I am. So sue me. Wait, actually don't. But here's my thing: is I don't really play Modern. I don't play a lot of other formats. So almost all that I play on Arena is either limited or standard. And because I try to watch my currency on there, it's going to be more standard by nature. So what happens when a set like Lord of the Rings comes out? What happens when a set like Forgotten Realms comes out? I have a great time in limited, and maybe I put some of those cards into a brawl deck that I will play from time to time, and then I do nothing with them. So when
Yeah.
we're getting to Final Fantasy next year, I'm gonna get so much more use out of the cards that you know how much a Final Fantasy dork I am. The writing is on the wall. I might as well go and cash my checks now and just I'm Fry in the meme, like shut up and take my money. We know it's coming. I feel better about that impending bankruptcy because I'm going to be actually playing with those cards more. I am concerned about what it means for the IP. I do agree with Chewy on that, but from a purely player perspective, I am not as opposed to this as I thought I might be. Because I don't like feeling like I can't use my digital cards.
I mean,
Paper,
you say
papers.
that now,
Mhm.
but the other thing is now that means there's going to be 6 standard legal sets next year.
Oh, oh, that's, I feel like I'm flip flopping on this like I'm a politician. And, yeah, I have always advocated for smaller standard because it makes more variety with deck lists, it makes for more creativity. And when standard does not change for years, you get tired of seeing the same cards all the time.
Hmm.
Hey, Mike, what if I told you that that stupid red dinosaur was going to be in standard for another year?
Jeez. Yeah, I remember my first reaction to the news about extending the legality of sets in standard. My first thought was Itali Primal Conqueror. I am
Yeah,
so sick of seeing Itali Primal Conqueror in standard brawl. Just done with it.
it's in standard, it's in brawl. Like, you know what? I have found there's the bird that is it's the white bird that's pseudo counter spell and it plots the spell. I love that. You know why? Because it also has the text that cards played from exile cost more. Somebody discovered an Atali and couldn't play the Atali, so they had to put in their hand. And the next turn they played the Atali, but they couldn't play the spells they got with it. And I was like, glorious.
That's
It felt
great.
so good. Yeah. So,
Like,
um,
just going back to being old, you remember how many years we had to talk about Abzan on Monday Night Magic?
Abzan.
There were like
The
18
Siege
different
Rhino,
Abzan
right?
decks. Do what?
The Siege Rhino, right?
I mean, yeah, the Siege Rhino was like the one of the centerpieces of all of those decks, but there were just
Yeah.
so many good cards in Abzan that there were like the core, I'll say like half of all of these decks were identical. And then
Yeah.
there were just all of these variations that had to have names. And we were like,
Mhm.
oh, this is Abzan. And oh, this is Abzan Blue. There was the deck called Abzan Blue. Like,
I remember that. I remember that.
oh, this is
So,
the slightly more aggressive Abzan with the 2 drops. Oh, this is the slightly more control-y Abzan with the 6 drops. Just kill me. Like,
yeah, I remember that. So, yeah, I get when Mike was talking about like, oh, using foundations as like the quote unquote box set, and I get it. But I have a feeling I'm gonna get tired of some of these cards, or probably most of them by the end.
yeah, I think like it's weird how these two negatives sort of balance each other out. The fact that standard is, 3 years now is counterbalanced by the fact that there are so many more sets coming in that things are bound to change, and the core set, or sorry, the foundations hopefully doesn't have anything, OP in it to keep it like it's not meant to be what you build decks around. The cards in it aren't meant to be what you build decks around. They're meant to be the basic building blocks.
Supposedly. Now, what's this combo you found out about?
Oh yeah,
The two-card combo.
the Discord told me there is a 2-card kill combo in Foundations that you can easily get in limited because they're both in black. But I have to go
Well,
find it because I forgot about it till just now.
you say easily, but I thought you said one of them was mythic.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
easily as in not impossible.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So on the screen now we've got the Bloodthirsty Conqueror, which says it's a 3 and 2 black, whatever, doesn't matter. It says whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. And then there's the Marauding Blight Priest, which is a common for 2 and a black that says whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life.
Oh, it's this stupid Sanguine Bond combo. I've
Yeah,
never
this
I've
pops.
never
This
liked
has
that. That
popped.
always annoys me.
This has popped up from time to time, and there's the enduring black creature from Bloomborough, the one that wait, is that Bloomborough or is that
Yeah.
Duskmorn?
No, you're right. The
Okay.
Enduring these are Duskmorn. No, sorry.
Duskmorn. The black one is whenever you gain life, the opponent loses that much life, so it's even stronger than the Blight Priest. But the Conqueror is the other half of that, and that's for standard. What you're talking about is this is even in the same set.
Yeah.
So,
and in the same color in the same set.
and Black has a couple of instant win combos going on right now, largely thanks to the demon that whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, they lose that much again. There are like at least 4 cards that combo with that one card. So black is kind of rolling in the instant win combos right now.
Like,
Which
and
maybe is that part of black's identity, is just straight up win out of nowhere.
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that this is gonna break standard or anything, or that but I'm saying every time someone opens a Bloodthirsty Conqueror in Limited, the other card's a common. Like, you've got to take it, because you might
Yeah.
just
Oh,
get a
yeah.
couple of free wins.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is deal some kind of damage.
Yeah. You play the
And then this
Blight
one
Priest.
automatically
Yeah.
will kill the opponent
Yeah,
because if one
You-
feeds off the other until they're dead.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Blight if you have these 2 out and you ping the opponent at
Then
all,
Bloodthirsty
as long as you
Conqueror pulls 1, and because whenever you gain the 1 life, then the Marauder, which then causes the trigger the Conqueror, which then re-triggers the Blight, and blah 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 until they're dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm looking at that and going, oh, man, that is fun.
Yeah, and
All you
like
have to
this
do is
2
speak.
card,
Can only happen once per turn.
like this 2 card combo shouldn't exist in the same set.
No, it shouldn't.
Like, I can see both cards existing in standard, because let's face it, one of them's a 5-drop creature. It's probably fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it just bothers me that this is a thing at all. Like, do they not test these sets anymore before they throw them out? Like, I know they got to do 6 now, and clearly they were only barely testing stuff before. They got the artist credit wrong on a card.
They did? Oh, come
Like-
on, guys.
I saw that in the announcements too. They're like, statement on the art for this card. I'm like, oh god, was it more AI crap that they discovered? No, they just put the wrong name on the card. They're like, don't worry though, it'll be right on Arena. I'm like, oh, I bet the artist is so pleased about that.
Mhm.
There was some sort of dragon thing. I was like, oh my god.
That's all right. Nobody likes dragons, right?
Well, and
No.
with the upcoming Tarkir Dragonstorm, I'm sure that's why that card is in there. I don't remember what it did. It was like whenever you cast a dragon or something, it deals a damage to something. I mean, whatever. It just annoys me how that is not a thing that should exist in the same set. It just isn't. And yet.
And yet.
Yeah. So there's Innistrad Remastered. That's
I don't pay attention to the remastered sets.
Yeah,
if I'm
that's
being honest.
whatever. Ether Drift is the Cannonball Run set that's either going to start or end in Girapur, because it's the Girapur Grand Prix. What's the name of that set or that plane?
Kaladesh?
There we go.
Yes.
Hey, I remembered a thing.
There's a couple of cards here. Then we've got Tarkir Dragonstorm, which, okay, they're trying to fix Tarkir, I guess, because a long time ago they went from the cool version to the boring version, and then they went, oh crap, we shouldn't have done that. So now I guess they're trying to walk that back. Then there's Final Fantasy. Then there's the Edge of Eternities, which there's just a picture here of Tezzeret, I think.
Tezzeret? Yeah.
I guess that's supposed to be
It's
Tezzeret. It looks like it used to be Tezzeret. And I'm just going to read the copy to you. Magic ventures into science fantasy with Edge of Eternities. As if that's not where Magic has been for the last ever, but whatever. Magic ventures into science fantasy with Edge of Eternities, exploring what lies beyond the known multiverse. Harness the advanced technology of the Sothera system as forces vie for cosmic power. Are they doing
Third
a Thanos
Rush.
thing?
Zerg Rush.
Oh no,
Oh, neat.
that's different.
Zerg Rush.
What?
I was making a StarCraft reference.
Yeah, you were. But yeah, so now it looks like we're gonna have spaceships that outside, beyond the known multiverse. Does that mean the spaceships are gonna fly around in the blind eternities?
Are we redefining what the blind eternities are? Do they even know anymore?
I don't know. But there's definitely a planet and spaceships and a black hole. So like that's space. Space. The only place that is absolutely going to be corrupted by capitalism. And then there's
You
apparently
remember when
Spider-Man
Star
set-
Trek was
Oh.
like a vision of a future without capitalism and with, cooperation between nations and races and all that?
Sure.
Hmm.
And then we've got the Marvel Spider-Man thing, which is apparently a full set.
Hmm.
And then there's another Universes Beyond thing after that hasn't even been announced yet. So,
So wait. So there's a Spider-Man thing and a
Set.
Marvel thing.
What?
Yeah.
No, the Marvel thing, the Spider-Man thing is the Marvel thing as far as the full set.
Okay.
Other Marvel stuff is
Okay.
going to be Commanders and Secret Layers and whatnot, but the full ass
about,
set
like,
is
the-
Spider-Man.
He's talking about like the Wolverine, Storm, the stuff we talked about before.
Yeah, those were.
Oh yeah. That
what were
was the
those? Those were
Secret
the
Lair?
Secret Layers, right?
Yeah,
Too many
my understanding
products.
that was definitely a mess.
What, did it sell out too quickly or something?
Apparently, I have been told by multiple people that they stood in line to get the stuff for it, and they sold out. And like a large number of people stood in line and walked away with nothing.
Well, they didn't stand in line. It was a digital thing, but yeah.
Well,
Almost like the idea of making scarcity a driving force for this was not a good idea.
Yes, so glad that they went back to just a certain number printed rather than print on demand. Because instead of everybody getting however many they want, only the worst people get however many they want.
Mm.
And then they scalp them.
You do mean with price,
Yeah.
right?
Jay Spencer said you had to be at the website right on the dot, put them in your cart, wait for an hour, to then find out it was sold out. Meanwhile, and this is the thing that came out later, there were multiple ways to skip the line if you knew some of the ins and outs of the something. Not caring myself, I didn't look into it. But there were known ways that you could skip the line and just buy stuff. And apparently...
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly what I read, the line security was set up with like the cheap way of doing it, with a JavaScript based thing that was arranged in such a way that if you interrupted the page loading at the right time, you could skip the queue.
See, there you go. But, you know, the average person doesn't know that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to do it the right way. Shows you.
Mm.
Oh, Jay Spencer's saying... Now, remind you, this is coming from Twitch chat, so grain of salt for anyone listening, but it said you could change the clock on your computer to skip the line. If you put items from other sets in your cart before the secret layers went online, you could skip the hour wait.
Huh.
I would say, surely that's just rumors made up after the fact, but given WotC's recent track record for everything, I completely understand if that's true.
I can
Record
definitely
for
believe
everything.
I can definitely believe the cart one being a weird loophole
Yeah.
that no one had thought of.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I really don't like, as much as you might not appreciate this, I really don't like just hating on Wizards of the Coast all the time. But if they would quit doing things to make me hate on them, I would stop hating on them.
I know exactly what you mean. We have been such big supporters of the game for so long, through thick and thin, that none of us want the game to fail. And honestly, seeing some of the stuff that not Wizards but Hasbro has done,
It's the same
and
thing
I think
at this
there's
point.
still...
You've got to stop
and-
giving Wizards a pass because Hasbro owns them. Like,
True.
They're not
I just think that
autonomous
there are
anymore. Hasbro is Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast is Hasbro.
Which is part of the problem. I think that there are people that make the game that still love the game, but
Oh, yeah.
they work for people that just hear cash registers going off in their head.
Yeah, the actual game designers and whatnot are all still great and love the game and want to see it do well. And that's why I feel so bad for Mark Rosewater constantly being the face of the company and being a company man for life. Like, I feel so bad for him constantly having to or feeling like, I don't even know why he does it anymore, but feeling like he has to keep defending all of the terrible decisions that the executives and the money people are making.
I know. Yeah, he has to get up. Because he's the one who's out there all the time, and he's established himself as the guy. He's the one who has to stand up there and get tomatoes thrown at him all day.
I mean, I don't know if he has to. I think he could probably just put on his Tumblr, all right, y'all, there's too much work to do. I'm gonna stop doing this, and everyone would be like, boo, but we'd all understand.
We would, but the people that he works for would be like,
Yeah, you're right. Saying has to wasn't accurate, but
Yeah. But anyway, hey, while we're in a bitching mood, why don't we change gears
let's do it.
entirely?
Sure.
Because for an episode that wasn't going to be entirely about Magic, we sure have been going for well over... Actually, should we just save that for its own episode?
I think so. I was just about to ask how long have we been going.
Because we're sitting at an hour and 20 minutes already. Like, what?
That's totally up to you guys.
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
You think that's its own episode, or another maybe fill in for something else?
Or its own half of an episode, yeah, for something where we only have
Yeah.
half an episode's worth of content to talk about.
Well then let me ask you, before we completely navigate away from this, before we leave the topic of Magic entirely, if we can shift back to just a little more positive, are there any products coming up in the next year they've announced that you're actually excited for? Because again, for me, Final Fantasy, definitely 100%. And if anything, I'm more encouraged by the fact that it is Universes Beyond, because some of their treatment of these IPs, like Lord of the Rings, has been fantastic. When Lord of the Rings came out, how much time did we spend gushing about how good everything was and how it all fit? So for me, I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, I mean, I just don't know where they're going with the story, what's happening anymore. So I don't know. But what are you guys looking forward to, if anything?
I mean, as far as playing with or buying, literally nothing. As far as like the show, yeah, Final Fantasy, obviously. We're gonna do warnings to everybody out there, unless Wizards like starts aligning with literal Nazis, which given the direction that our government is going, I'm not gonna rule that out as a possibility, sadly. But we're totally gonna give the Final Fantasy set the same treatment we did Lord of the Rings. Like we're gonna go nuts because all of us are Final Fantasy nerds, just like we're all Lord of the Rings nerds. So, warning: if you don't want us to talk about that, then when that time comes, maybe skip a few episodes. I don't know. For some reason, as much as I love Spider-Man and always have, the fact that there's going to be a full-ass Spider-Man set just bounces right off of me for some reason. And I don't know why. Like,
I mean, I think
But
I
you could
get where you're
have
coming from.
potentially like over 100 pictures of Spider-Man.
that's
But-
true. Get me though.
Well,
Insert
I will
J.
only look at the
Jameson
cards
joke.
if there's the meme with the 3 Spider-Mans pointing at each other as one of the art.
Right? They worked it into the last 2 movies that had Spider-Man in them, like, because that was in Across the Spider-Verse. Like literally, that meme was in Across the Spider-Verse, and they put it in No Way Home. I was like, far from no. What was the Back to the Home?
The one with the word home in it, yeah. I think I get where you're coming from, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'll keep doing it anyway, though. But I love Spider-Man, and
Mr. I'm
I know
not
he's
gonna
one
say
of the
anything ever again.
yeah, that was never gonna happen.
Accurate.
I love Spider-Man. I really do, and I know he's one of the original like Marvel characters. But I feel like pinning it down, Marvel's Spider-Man for a whole set, when you have the rest of Marvel. I know that it's not just going to be just him, but to make him the centerpiece, I don't know. I'm kind of with you on that.
I mean,
I'll check it out. I'm sure Sam will be like, ooh, because she's all about the Marvel these days.
yeah.
But
like, I mean, it's not the fact that they've narrowed it to Spider-Man, because like I said, I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is one of the best characters in comics, when done properly.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. Like I'm super stoked for Lord of the Rings. I was super stoked for Final Fantasy. I just don't give a quarter of a damn about a full Spider-Man set. And part of that could be that, like, partnering with Marvel, therefore Disney, feels like Magic is just ultimately selling out. And, like, as much as I love Spider-Man and Marvel, like this feels like this was a deal made purely for the money. And which I know is what all of these deals are, but I don't know, for some reason
No.
and I'm not part of that Marvel backlash thing. Like, have you noticed that? Well, you guys might not have, but for those of you listening, have you noticed that when people want to talk smack about the current state of Hollywood, Marvel always comes up, even though that's just not the case. But oh, the Marvelization of cinema.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
it's just become a shorthand for negativity for a variety of ways. No, I am not one of those people. I think those people need to be punched in the face. In the stomach. We'll save the face punching for the Nazis. But so I'm not one of those people. It's like, oh, it's Marvel, it's gonna suck. I'm not that. So I have no idea why, but when I saw, they're gonna do a Marvel Spider-Man full set, that was my reaction, and I have not yet figured out exactly why.
I'm sitting here, I'm trying to think about it, and like I'm with you. I still enjoy Marvel, but is it maybe? I don't want to say superhero fatigue because we've talked about that before and how that's more of a state of mind or anything else. But is it maybe the fact that there have been so many Marvel crossovers and Marvel Snap has been a thing? And I feel like there's so much Marvel out there. And I'm not saying it's bad, but because you see it elsewhere, maybe I'm trying to think of why you might have that reaction, and maybe it's just because you kind of see it in a bunch of places already. Is maybe a thought. Doesn't mean you don't still like it.
I got nothing. But yeah, like I said, since I despise Wizards of the Coast these days, and I have not touched a Magic card other than sorting through a bunch of my bulk to get rid of. I haven't touched the Magic card in so long. That's why I'm trying so hard to make this show not just a Magic podcast, but a nerd podcast. That all of the actual Magic IP stuff is like, whatever. Ether Drift, it's a race. That ought to make for a couple of neat cards, Oh, we're going back to Tarkir. Like 5 years ago, I would have died. Oh, we're going back to Tarkir? Yeah! Now I'm like, oh, okay, there's a mine we haven't dug in a while. That's cool. And Edge of Eternities is just bizarre. It's with the single paragraph and weird art we got. So
that's
no
not
idea
enough to
there.
really. Yeah, we don't really know what that even means yet. So space
Star Wars-esque.
Yeah.
Backdoor shenanigans.
Like, do you think Edge of Eternities might be? This is how cynical I am. Dirk saying that. The first thought that popped into my head of its own accord was, do you think Edge of Eternities is an audition to see if they can get the Star Wars license? Look, we can do space.
Maybe.
See, look, space. Yay.
With vehicles and
can we have Star Wars now? Let us make Star Wars.
There's this magical force. It's going to bind all these creatures together
I'm sure
and
the force
flow through them.
Would be an ability type of some sort.
Yeah, in that respect, like, that's not as exciting because it just seems like so many. There have already been several sets recently, and now more planned upcoming sets that are just, Magic as some other cinematic genre. The space and there's the death race. We're in the middle of horror. We just did Western. It's like, I don't know, with the Omen Path exploding all over everything and just all the planes mixing together, it's just it's not as interesting when everything is just all the same characters mashed up together, just wearing different hats.
Yeah. Different skins.
Oh God, you got to get all the Chandra skins. Here's one where she's in a cowboy hat. Here's one where she's got goggles on. No, not those goggles. Racing goggles. Yeah, chat says Bloomborough was like a breath of fresh air, to be honest. It kind of was,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yes.
It was.
Oh my God. Huh.
Yeah.
Brian just completely threw me with some nonsense he typed in the chat.
You're welcome. But yeah, and
we got a comment in the chat. That's all OG Magic ever was, though. Urza and Weatherlight forever. It's like, okay, you got me there.
Yeah, but
the
here's
story,
the thing.
the story cycle that started at the end of the Mirage block and got continued all the way through the end of Invasion block and got picked up again in Time Spiral. Yeah, okay, you got me. So maybe I'm just old and grumpy.
I get that, I really do, but here's the counter to that. How long from Mirage to Invasion, how many years was that of products? Maybe 3?
Let's see.
Maybe
So
4.
let me count the blocks. Mirage, Tempest, Mirage, Tempest, Urza Saga, Mercadian Masks, Invasion. So since it really didn't start until the end of Mirage block, let's say 4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
That felt like a long time at the beginning of the game. I don't know that it would feel as long now, given the length of the game.
Yeah.
That is also
But
exactly the time period that I wasn't playing.
Yeah. But also in
He's
defense
like,
of
Urza, bleh.
also in defense of grumpiness, those sets weren't, Space World and Cowboy World and
Yeah. And also there was one
analog horror.
There was one story that weaved throughout it all, and like the current stuff where it's sort of kind of it's like episodes of a TV show, but not one that has an overall plot thread.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what it feels like to me as someone who's not reading the story.
I've been trying to keep up with the story. I really have. And it does feel, and as White Tree does say in the chat, it feels like they're speeding through the story arcs, and they're not giving any of these environments time to breathe. Every time is a pendulum, right? And when they would do blocks, by the time you were done with a whole year on Mirrodin, you were like, okay, we get it. But now we have the opposite effect of like, oh, look at this place. This is pretty neat. All right, on to the next one. Okay. Oh, Ixalan with Karen. Okay, now we're Wild West.
Yeah.
Okay, now Haunted House. Now, So
now it's more like a Planet of the Week feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's tough to follow some of these characters through this and really see this is kind of the story arc. So, and who knows? Maybe they feel like they had the Bolus arc, and then that concluded, and then they had the Phyrexian arc, and then that concluded. Maybe they thought, you know what? We're not always great at finishing these stories. Maybe let's just not finish one for a while, because no one knows what they're going to do next. And I don't mean that in a like, ooh, we're all waiting to see. I mean like I have no idea how this is tied together. So, but
Are
now it
they
just sounds like I'm just complaining again.
are they still pushing their magic branded Baby Yoda thing?
Loot? I think he got snatched by the demon Valgavoth at the end of the last story.
Oh,
I think he's yeah, so maybe he'll show up as like a demon baby.
yeah. Hobbs posted Hobbs Q. I don't know how to describe who Hobbs is other than he's Hobbs. He posted on Twitter a poll of who has a more punchable face, and it was Loot and Fibblethip, and Loot won that decisively, and he was like, "Huh,
Why would you punch Fiddlethip's face?
exactly."
I don't know why you'd punch either one, but
Well, I mean, the difference is one of them happened organically in the community, and the other one was created and put here. Like, this will be the new cute thing that you love. Unlike Baby Yoda, who is actually cute and does cute things to make you love him, whether you want to or not, you will love him. Loot is just a thing on some cards and a central part of the story, and everyone's like, we get it. You want to sell this merch. Got it. Whereas Fiddlethip was just a piece of art on a card, and the community unanimously was like, we will die for him.
yeah, the community kind of almost found him. They kind of put him out there like, here you go, but didn't really like push it. And the community pushed it.
Yeah. As the infiltrator said, he was totally lost, and we found him. Exactly. Man. I really didn't think we would
This
spend a
turned
full episode on this.
neither did I. Neither did I.
Let's see. Is it weird? I'm sad that I'm not excited by Tarkir.
I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
it's weird. I just think it says something about where you are right now, and that's why I wanted to ask like what people were excited for or not. So
Like, look at this super sick Ugin art we got here in the Foundations of Magic's Next Era article. Like,
yeah,
Art's really cool.
yeah, like this would have made me die. Like I said, like 5 years ago, I'd have been like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
I will say this for the story, depending on what they do with it. We have not, if this is a current picture, like of where the story is right now, we have not seen Ugin since War of the Spark when he took Bolus, who had just been desparked, to the meditation realm and was basically just like, "Sup, you suck. We're gonna stare at each other for eternity now." So this will be the first time we've seen him, but I don't know, maybe he's on a lunch break or something. He's like, Bolus won't go anywhere. Not that there's an omen path around here or anything.
I was gonna say, is there an omen path that pokes around in the wherever he's imprisoned?
Possibly.
Probably. Ow.
Well, let me ask you guys. I'm getting a message about relieving my wife from a parental duty. Do we feel like we have kind of discussed what we're going to discuss? If we're not moving on to another topic,
Yeah, I was
we
about to
think we
say.
have...
I think we're safe to move on to final thoughts here.
Okay. I'm going to take a quick final thought. I know Dirk probably needs to go as well, but I'm going to take a quick final thought so that I can be a dad. So, huh. I'm not going to talk politics. The lawyer in me wants to, say something about attorney general or anything like that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to add anything to the conversation that hasn't already been said. I'm determined not to be doom and gloom, even if that is exactly what I'm looking at. So instead, I am going to say, I hope everyone out there listening, whether you're listening to this as we're recording it, whether you're listening to this the day it goes up, or a year in the future, or 2 years in the future, when America has been completely shelled out and you're like a Terminator and you're coming across a human artifact, you're like, what is this podcast? I hope everyone listening to this actually has something positive going on for them in their life, because goodness knows we all need that. We all need that. You know what? That's it. That's gonna be my final thought. Is I hope you take something positive away from your experiences today and tomorrow. I hope you stay healthy and safe. That's what I got, gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Like I said earlier today in the Manapool Discord, which you should totally join, by the way. Like, things are gonna be bad in this country in the very near future. I'm not saying it's not gonna suck. It's absolutely gonna suck. Like, we're all gonna be worse off because of the average American is dumb. But what they, capital T they, want you to do is give up, give in to despair, and stop fighting. And we're not gonna do that.
No.
As one of my favorite YouTube channels, Ordinary Things, says at the end of every episode, don't let the bastards grind you down.
I like that. Good.
We're going into this maelstrom, and we're all coming out the other side of it. Damn it! And there is another side of it. Like, it's not going to be awful forever. So
Yes.
we've all got to get together, man. I can't say that. Man the frickin' lifeboats, and keep each other safe. Got it? And that's going to take all of us, even you listening to this. Yes, you. What's a tariff? Oh my god.
Good night, guys.
Night B.
For my final thought, I guess I'll go with with one that isn't politics related and everything. Um, Blizzard released their 30-year anniversary sort of celebration and everything. Um, and I know that Warcraft 3 Reforged was a flaming pile of stuff.
Dark orange.
But yeah, but it does look like, based on the announcement they made, that they look, at least the Warcraft 3 stuff looks like they have gone in and done a little bit of improvement, which they were supposed to have done the first go round, but it looks like someone actually threw some money at that project, and they've done a little bit of fixing. They're doing Warcraft 1 and 2, and doing uh, a like, they're improving the graphics and everything and some quality of life stuff. That's not a remake. It's a, can't think of what the right word is for it.
Nonsense.
Remastered. So they're remastering it. So it's just quality of life, updated graphics, so it doesn't look like it was done on like a computer from the 90s, even though it was. But that's beside the point. So that's looking kind of cool and everything. I still own the Reforged, and so I might at some point decide to jump on that. I still have plenty of other stuff that's keeping me occupied game-wise. And there was something else. Oh, when Brian was talking about the Magic set with that it's in space, apparently Hearthstone is going to have a crossover with StarCraft. And so there actually will be some Zerg, Terran, and Protoss set. So I thought it was really funny when Brian mentioned Zergs and everything.
Wow. Glad I don't play that game anymore either.
I know, but it was just something that when Brian said something, I was like, that's funny.
That is.
So, like I said, I'll go with a little bit happier stuff that is not intended on bringing us down. But with that, I am going to head on to bed. So you guys have a wonderful evening.
Yeah. Night, Zerk.
All right.
Night.
Good night. Okay, let's see here. I guess I'll also share a win recently. So we've had this turkey that's been taking up space in our freezer for a long time. And by a long time, I mean like 2 years. We moved with this turkey. And it's just been a really big pain in the neck. So finally, recently, of course, spearheaded by Ashley, we finally got around to doing something that we've been telling ourselves we were going to do for a long time. We finally cooked it. Ashley found a recipe. She did all the hard work in prepping it and cooking it. And this turkey that we've had in our freezer for 2 whole years was delicious.
Hey.
So, yes, it was. It was really good. So we had that nice and fresh from the oven the first time, and then we, cut it all up and had leftovers for sandwiches, and the rest we made. She and her sister made a whole bunch of soup with it that I've actually had for dinner now, like 3 days in a row, because it's just good. So, yes, finally getting that turkey out of the freezer and cooked up and having it be a big success was just a really nice win.
Nice. I'm making a note here. Huge success. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What do I have that's a win? Do I have good news? I don't usually.
You might be able to scrounge something up.
Yeah. So here lately I've been oh crap. Sorry, while I was trying to do stuff, I was also trying to pull up the new the odds and ends thing, the odds and ends things, the Patreon thing for the shout outs, but they've changed the setup, of course, because now I'm on subscription billing. So it used to be that no matter when you signed up, you got billed at the first of the month. For my for my Patreon, but that's still the case for everybody who's currently a member. But now it's a month from when you signed up, which means that my relationship manager here, some of the options are just different. So hopefully I don't miss anybody. So while I'm on it, hey, patreon.com/themanapool, all that good stuff. Let me thank our mythic lifeguards: Al, Kim Ho, Scuzzo, Jake Jansons, Michael, Team Uhellas Haryu, Violet Moon, Jason Kaus, scroll, Casey, Jason Doan, I can read, ALK Alters, and Andrew Odie.
Nice.
And to all of our lifeguards at every tier, thank you so much. Let's see. Like I said earlier, I just finished my Proud Mode playthrough of Kingdom Hearts. I'm gonna do the easy mode, 3 achievement one at some point soonish. I've been streaming Alien Isolation, but I think I've done 5 Alien Isolation streams now, 4 or 5, and like nobody comes to those. So I'm probably just gonna stop streaming that and play it myself. Which part of that I'm sure is just bad timing, but part of it is also it seems like it's kind of miserable to watch. Cause like, oh, there's an alien over there. Creep forward, go over here. Oh, alien got me. Say a bad word. Start again. Oh, alien got me. Say a bad word. Start again. Oh my god, the alien got me. Say more bad words. Start again. Like, because I'm playing on hard, which means that happens any time that there's, oh, go from point A to point B while the alien stalks you. So yeah, like I said, I think I'm just gonna stop streaming that because it's not good content, necessarily, unless you want to watch me get frustrated. But I don't get that frustrated, so it's not even that kind of entertaining. But I also found, all the reviews for Alien Isolation, except for the one from IGN, which apparently was a 5.9. But everybody talks about Alien Isolation as if it's some amazing paragon of amazingness, and the parts that are good, 10 out of 10. Like the atmosphere, the tension. I'm playing on hard for my first time through, so there's that is part of my problem. But like the tension, before you get murdered the first time, every time, it's all the alien itself. It's all 10 out of 10. Some of the parts I'm having problems with are some of the like game design. Like, okay, Mike.
Okay.
Had to go from point A to point B.
Yes.
While the alien stalked me. I walked through a door and the alien dropped down and I was like, oh, I made it. Come on. No, this was a cutscene. Ah.
Uh-huh.
And there was an explosion suddenly before the alien pounced. And when I came to, there was fire all around and the alien was not there anymore. And it was like, escape. So I'm like, okay, the door behind me was locked. So I go wandering around this place that's full of fire. While, it turns out, I did not notice this at the time, my health ticks down. So I wandered over here. There was a light. I'm like, I bet this is where I'm supposed to go. There was literally nothing there. I'm like, okay. Because, everywhere was dark and there was a bright ass light over here. Turns out it was just because there'd be a light there. All right. Then there was a room. I'm like, oh, I bet there's something in this room. Yeah, there's a corpse. And that was it. Nothing of any interest. Nothing that pushes the plot along. Nothing, no escape, nothing. And I died. I was like, why the hell did I die? Turns out my health was ticking down. Great. So I reloaded. Had to do the entire alien section again. And I died there something like 6 or 7 or 8 times. So I was already frustrated. And I get there, and the cutscene happens. There's an explosion. I come to escape. All right. This time I don't dick around looking at stuff. I just go check all the doors. All the doors are locked. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So at this point, I'm pissed off. Because what am I supposed to do? I can't tell. I've been playing video games my entire life. I am good at figuring out what video game want me to do. I could not figure out what video game want me to do. So I typed in Alien Isolation. What do I do after the explosion? And I found so many people asking the same question on Steam forums, on Reddit. I was like, oh, it's not just me. Okay. And someone was like, there's a ladder. And I said, okay. And I stopped reading. And I went back to the game. I'm like, okay, there's a ladder. There's a ladder. There, is it here? Is it, no, is it over there? And I went around the entire area again. There's no ladder. So I went, I go back to the internet And it's like, there's a ladder. It's in the center. It's right in front of you when you come to. I went, huh? You mean in the middle of the towering inferno? What? So I went back and looked up, and there's a ladder. Straight up. Like, it's up. You can't... It's not a ladder, like, in front of you. It's up there. And what you're looking at is the source of the fire. And I'm like, why would anyone look there for progression? That's the part that you ignore because that's the fire.
Yeah.
So I started climbing it, and Amanda Ripley is kind of an idiot. Like, she wanted to stop and, like, look down for, like, 5 seconds and then start climbing again. And I died because my health is still ticking down. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I did the whole alien section again. And when the explosion happened, I just walked up, pressed the jump. There is no jump button. But I pressed the do stuff button, and she jumped up and started climbing. And I did the tap on the A button real hard so she'll get her grip and climb up. And then she just stopped. And I'm like, what? And it was waiting on me to climb up. Because now it's not a cutscene anymore. I was like, oh, I forgot. And I pressed up. And she slowly started climbing up. And then there was another tap A. And I did that again. And now she's climbing by herself. I'm like, make up your mind. Am I playing or am I not? Like...
Yeah, it's pretty disorienting.
And yeah, it was just frustrating and just awful game design. There's a bright ass light over there. In every video game ever, you follow the light.
Yeah.
So I waltzed my ass over there like, oh, here's where I'm supposed to go. Nope. There's just a light there. Amongst all the darkness. Thanks, game. And someone in the responses to I think I was on the Steam forums, was like, on your motion tracker, there's a little indicator to point you in the direction of where you should go. I'm like, in the middle of a towering inferno, I shouldn't need that. I should be able to see where I'm going. Like, the damn motion tracker thing there should be like a failsafe to give you a vague idea of where you're going, not how you figure out where to go. And this isn't the first time that I have not been able to figure out what the game wanted me to do. This is like the third time. And I'm only like not even halfway through the game yet. So while I'm still enjoying the game, these hiccups of bad design just annoy me. Like, I'm not expecting hand holding, which is what the little indicator on your motion tracker is. It's the hand holding. I don't want hand holding. I want to be able to figure it out. Like, at another point soon thereafter, I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do, and I pulled up my motion tracker, and it was directing me to this point right here in the center of the room, where there was literally nothing other than the computer that I'd already done something to. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So I just wandered around. And then on this side of the room, oh, there's a thing, like a thing on the wall you've got to do something to. Oh. And then on the other side of the room in that corner, there's a different computer monitor you've got to type at. I'm like, what? All right, I guess. Sure. But the fact that the indicator this time didn't even work as a failsafe, because it was like, it's right here. And I'm standing there turning a circle. Like, I'd take 2 steps and the indicator would jump to the other side. Now it's behind me, so I'd turn around. Take 2 steps, now it's behind me. Okay, so it's right here. There's nothing here. Like, come on, man. So, like, for these reasons, that and nobody shows up to the streams, I'm just going to stop streaming Alien Isolation. I'll finish it, in my own time now that I'm done with Kingdom Hearts. That'll be what I do, in between dash shifts or something.
Yeah.
But, like, it's so frustrating that this game is so incredibly good in most of the ways. And then there are these hiccups of just, did a 7-year-old make this? Like, I think the fact that there was that single light back there is actually what annoyed me more than the rest, because that's the indicator of where to go. And in fact, that is exactly the wrong place to go. It's like, maybe it brought me here so I could see that there's a room over here. Aha! And then there's nothing in the room. I'm like, And to answer the question in the chat, the other thing I've been doing, Mike, is playing the Castlevania DLC in Vampire Survivors. And it is glorious. Like so there are 20 new characters, all from Castlevania games past, each with their own new weapon, and each weapon has its own new evolution. So there's 40 new weapons. Excuse me. A bunch of whips, like a whole lot of whips. It's a little weird. But it's really cool the way they've got the progression. Like, you start with Leon Belmont, who was, well, not the first Belmont, but he's the one who created the vampire killer whip. And so you start with him, and as you do things with him and level up weapons and whatnot, you'll unlock more characters, which will then allow you to unlock more characters, which will then allow you to unlock more characters. It looks like, from what I've been able to tell, I'm roughly halfway through unlocking characters. It looks like Richter is the last one. And the new stage, so in Vampire Survivors, at certain time periods, because each run lasts 30 minutes, and then death comes and kills you. But in normal levels, at certain points in time, a boss will show up. Amongst the hordes of enemies that just appear on the screen, and you have to, defeat the boss, and then, yay. Or if you wander into a certain part of the map,
right,
there will be a boss on a couple of levels. But mainly it's time-based. But in the Castlevania level, it's huge. And later you'll find you'll unlock teleporters to where you can jump to certain points on the map, so you don't have to traipse your ass the whole way there. But at various locations, there are these like summoning circles essentially on the ground, and if you walk over them, a boss will appear. So if you can get to them, you can fight just an ass load of bosses if you want, and all of which are massive and awesome looking. Like the first time the giant Medusa head popped out, I almost pooped. I was like, oh my god! And it's so good. I really, that's what I'll be streaming, for the next few days, because I really want to get to the end of it. Because I found the throne room where Dracula should be, and there's no Dracula. There's just a crap load of super hard enemies, and I don't know, so I got to figure that out. There's a whole section of the map that I can't get to yet because there's a locked door. I don't know. I've been everywhere that I know of, so I need to keep searching. But it's so well done. Oh, and the music. Oh my god, Mike, the music. There are remixes of so many Castlevania themes. And when you pick your character, it gives you an appropriate song. So like when you finally unlock Simon and play him, you get, I think it's called Simon's Theme, and it plays. I'm like, this is just Vampire Killer from the first Castlevania game. And like when you play Trevor, you get what's the track from the beginning of the beginning from Castlevania 3. And I'm sure all of the music when you pick characters are appropriate, but those are like the ones that I recognize immediately and went, oh! So yeah, I really love Vampire Survivors. To be such a mindless and stupid game, it is so amazing. Because it's not actually mindless and stupid. It just, at first blush, it looks mindless and stupid. Oh, and hey, Roland, I was playing off stream, where working on a few of the achievements that have popped up that I never got. I've gotten 100% achievements on this game like 5 times, Mike, because they keep adding new ones, and I keep going, damn it. But the last time they added a bunch, I just never messed with them. So I was doing a couple things there, and I picked up Alucard's weapon, the Alucard Swarb. I don't know why it's called that. I'm sure that's a reference to something. And when that evolves, it evolves into the Alucard Swords. And then in the Grimoire, where it shows you your stuff, like how weapons evolve, it just shows Alucard Swarb, arrow, Alucard Swords, arrow, a shield. And I'm like, oh, so if I finish this, it'll evolve again. It did not. But in a stream where I wasn't playing Castlevania stuff, I was just doing other stuff, I picked up the Alucard Swarb. And it evolved the second time. And that's broken. It's completely busted. But I have no idea why it evolved that time and not the previous time. So I need to do I have a vague idea. I need to do some science. So, like, even when I'm not playing the Castlevania stuff, I'm playing the Castlevania stuff. But it's and damn near every new weapon that I've managed to evolve has been by sheer accident. I was like, oh, I'm running low on gold coins, which are what you use to buy your overall power-ups and to unlock new characters. I was like, oh, I'm running low on coins. I'm going to take the stone mask, which adds a multiplier to all the coins you find. And I just so happened that the character I started with needed the stone mask to evolve their weapon. And this other magic spell that I picked up that I had never found before also needed the stone mask to evolve. And I was like, whoa, like I felt so, it's those aha moments like that. Like I could just look it up, but I'm not going to look it up. That's half the fun. So yeah. What I'm saying is, for all you listeners out there, if you haven't played Vampire Survivors, you probably should. It's so good. It's so much fun. And they said they were putting the entire soundtrack to the Castlevania DLC on YouTube. I really need to look that playlist up. Because the remixes are so good. And it's cheap. Yeah, like, I got it as a gift from Scuzzo. He's like, hey, it's like $2 or $3. He's like, hey, I bought you this. I'm like, oh, all right. He's like, trust me, you'll like it. I'm like, all right. And I was like, I'll play it, because I think it was still in early access, or I'm pretty sure it was still in early access. I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I was like, this is so cool. Yeah, Roland said it's like $20 for the base game and every DLC. Is it even that much? That seems high. I guess there have been like 4 or 5 DLCs, so maybe that's not high, but yeah, it's so good. And I think the next game I'm gonna stream, I'm pretty sure, is gonna be Tunic, which is it looks like a Zelda game. You're an adorable fox, but it's one of those games where your ability to play it is based on your knowledge. Like, as you play the game, you collect pieces of the game manual, which tell you how to do things.
All right.
So I've been hesitant to actually stream it because, it's the sort of game you can only experience once. And then the Discord pointed out, they're like, if anyone is going to come watch you play it, they've probably already played it and just want to see how you do. I'm like, you're right. But we could all use an adorable fox game these days. Can't we, Mike?
Oh, yeah. It's good for morale.
Yeah. And the beatings will continue until morale improves. But like Fangamer sells a tunic of a plush of the fox from Tunic. That's how you know it's cute. But anyway. So yeah, come hang out, jam to some Castlevania music, and then we'll play Tunic. It'll be fun. That's on twitch.tv/themanapool. That's also where we live stream the show here. You should come hang out. But with that, we should really stop. So, is there anything else? We did the Patreon thing. Be good to each other. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Yeah. Look out for each other, because we're going to need more of that in the coming years. So this has been the Manapool, episode 710. Sorry for not getting to the second topic. We'll make that its own show. We'll expand it some. We'll do some homework. I'll cuss at Mike. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh, it's Buster. I brought Buster in here to keep me safe from the alien. Buster, you suck at this. Buster's my teddy bear. Buster, you really suck at keeping me safe from the alien. Although, I guess I'm not scared of the alien anymore, so I guess you probably helped with that. I'll give you that credit. Yeah, good boy. I've had him since I was a wee thing. He's my protector. But okay, so, yes, episode 710. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and, I don't know, don't ignore your foundations or something. I've got nothing clever. I'm too tired.